Let's stay with that story now. Floyd, Shivambu's Afrika Mayibuye wrapped up its national convention, which started on Friday. And during the convention, party delegates deliberated and adopted several policy positions. And for more on this, we are now joined in studio by Afrika Mayibuye Secretary General Lazola Ndamase. And he joins us now. Mr. Ndamase, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Let's start off here. I mean, you held your national convention this weekend at the University of Johannesburg in Soweto. How would you characterize the success of this convention? Would you say it was successful?
Yes, I believe that the convention went very well. It achieved all the key strategic issues that it had set out to achieve, and it did that, interestingly, without delay and everything else. So it was indeed quite a lot of success.
And what would you say, as a party, as a new party, are your big takeaways from this convention?
The big takeaways from the convention is that the convention was attended by people from literally all the 52 regions of the country. For an organization that's barely less than 6 months old, that's a massive thing. The other thing is that here are people who realize the morass that South Africa is in, and they meet and agree on the way forward on key strategic issues such as the restoration of the heritage of the African people and the masses of the oppressed who live under grinding poverty and live in destitute conditions in the country that is theirs. The other thing that they agreed about was not to whine about what political parties are doing, but to chart a substantive program about what they can do now, like social assistance, to revive the program that was started by the likes of Steve Biko in the 70s to ensure that communities become self-sustainable.
How important was this convention for your political party? It's barely, like you said, 6 months. And particularly now, as we head towards the local government elections next year, how important was this process just before the elections next year?
Well, the organization came out of this reinvigorated because after the consultations, the organization sort of retreated a little bit and focused on building structures. Now, when we come out of the convention, its importance is such that it's one of the key things that the organization should have done: meet, agree, resolve on a constitution, resolve on the policy direction of the organization, what nature and character that it would have. All of those issues were concluded. Now we have an organization that will dominate the sphere in South Africa for a very long time.
Before this convention was held, I mean,
yes,
you encountered a bit of challenges along the way, and we saw some of the resignations from some of your very senior members of your political party. Would you say that as you deal with these internal problems, that the worst is over for the party, and now that you can finally focus on building this movement so that you can prepare for the elections next year?
Now the organization was just grazed a little bit by the resignations. Unexpected, relatively no, in the context of the organization, having seen the behavior of the individuals. But is it to be unexpected? Not at all. There is not a single organization that in its nonsense stages doesn't go through this sort of thing. I mean, the EFF didn't go to its first conference with its leadership intact. Went there without a secretary general, people were getting expelled left, right, and center. The ANC is worse. In the 1910s, the ANC leadership couldn't agree even on the things that they should put up as the demands to the British, to the extent that even the president of the ANC had almost resigned as the president of the ANC. So the ANC went through upheavals until the 1930s. So essentially, this is not new for organizations, that's what I'm saying. So we're sort of grazed by it a little bit, but it wasn't to be unexpected, of course, appreciating the role that the individuals had sort of played in internally attempting to destabilize the organization.
And listening to your party leader just a bit earlier on this evening or today, I mean, just talking about the various problems that we are faced with as a society, and when you look at issues around local government and service delivery challenges, particularly for various communities in the country, how ready are you to contest the next year's elections?
No, we're quite ready. Quite ready. We've got volunteers throughout the 52 regions. We've got volunteers in almost all the 4,468 VDs. So we do have quite a lot of representation in the structures throughout the country. And we also know the problems of local government. The problems of local government are the structure of the funding model. The second thing relates to the fact that basically local government administers tenders. It's just an institution for administering tenders. There is no internal capacity. And some of the major weaknesses of local government stem from these two: funding and tendering.
And when it comes to where we find ourselves as a country, we are under coalitions. We're under a coalition when it comes to national government. We also find ourselves in various coalitions throughout municipalities. Are you willing to work with other political parties should you find yourself in a position where you don't get a 50% +1 majority next year?
Our issue is that we won't be contesting elections with an intention to go below 50%. We expect an outright win. But of course, God forbid, it so happens that we do not get what we are aiming for. We will work with progressive organizations. And we will not do this putting up unnecessary demands. You know, there are certain people that put up demands that they intend that they should not be met. Or sometimes they use that as an instrument to fundraise money for themselves. We will support you if you give us 10 million, support you if you give us this and that. In fact, if a proper study would be done on the parties that have been so-called kingmakers in the municipalities, they've looted those municipalities to the ground without having ever taken a single leadership position.
All right, Mr. Ndamase, thank you so much for your time. That's Afrika Mayibuye Secretary General Lazola Ndamase there, just giving us an insight in terms of that convention which they held since Friday at the University of Johannesburg in Soweto.